Welcome back. It's December 1st, 2015. Our guest in this segment is Lisa Jennings, and we're going to be talking about PTSD and the way it's treated in this province, and it's not a pretty picture. So Lisa, maybe you can just tell us how you got involved with the whole PTSD thing.
Well, as a paramedic, of 25 years, I actually am a survivor, I'd like to say, of PTSD, not unlike hundreds of others of first responders. But I found myself not being treated very well, and there was not very much help out there for first responders with PTSD.
Now, first responders get PTSD because of the situations you come in contact with, which must be horrifying.
Yeah, they're traumatic, and Worksafe legislation has them so that it's either a traumatic event that's intense, catastrophic, threat of injury, or it can be an accumulative effect. Something can just trigger you and everything comes rushing back. It's no different than what the veterans that go to war, they come back with. It's the same. We used to call it sad sickness, shell shock. It's been around forever. It's only being recognized that first responders, because we go out and we're on the job and we have another call, and then that call we deal with that, then we have to go somewhere else. We deal with that, we have to go somewhere else. There's no time to take a break. We don't get breaks.
And when you go to something like a car accident, I guess it's a scene that most of us are lucky enough to never see in our lives.
It's grisly. And it's not even one of the worst scenes you can see. So it takes a toll on you, and you're told that it's an injury. You're off work. It's your brain has been impacted in a way that you can't function, and so you put in a Worksafe claim. I heard on the news recently that the special care director, Jennifer Lahan, said that it's as simple as putting in a claim, and within 1 month, when you put your claim in, you're to have a report from your psychologist or psychiatrist, and within a month, you will be put into a treatment, you will get your benefits, and it's easy as that. And through my research, I have not found one such claim. The closest I came to 8 weeks, and that's because the first responder was sexually abused in the back of an ambulance.
So what we have is a situation where a lot of first responders, and that includes, I guess, police?
I start from dispatch to police, fire, paramedics, and corrections.
So because of the situations that all of these people are put into, I think all of us have some level of PTSD just from things that happen to us in our general lives.
Well,
but what you guys go through is a completely different level.
When people say we're going to send you to a counselor, a first responder sitting in a counselor with their PTSD, and if it's a group setting and somebody else has been robbed at a bank, it's a very different type of PTSD. We want to share our experiences, and I personally have gone and made a counselor cry with my stories, and I ended up being the caretaker for this counselor. But
so you go to Worksafe BC and people say, we can't work. This is an injury.
Yeah, it's an injury.
And you want, therefore, to get, I guess, treatment would be nice, and pay while you're off work.
Because science proves that within the first 3 months, you are likely to return back to work as well as you were before you left. Because if you get the appropriate and quick, meaning a psychologist type treatment, not a lay counselor.
So, but Worksafe BC will not give you, and there's hundreds, I think you said, of people.
Yeah,
they won't give
thousands.
You the treatment?
No, thousands. And it has been stated on the record, and you can look at the transcripts that say that in 36 months of when this program began, only from the medical sector, including first responders, only 31 claims were accepted. So suicide rates go up. We've lost 12 first responders due to suicide, and this year, just since January. And so when I was going through all of my symptoms, I thought no one else should ever have to go through. 19 months, I'm still waiting for my claim, and now they want me to see the 10th psychologist. What more can...
So you mean you have gone to Worksafe BC, and it's not Worksafe BC, I mean, it's Christy Clark. She's at the top of this corrupt government that we have to deal with.
And then it's Minister Bond, who's responsible for Worksafe BC and the workers' advisors. Yeah.
So you go to Worksafe BC and you say, you know, from what I've been through, I have PTSD. Mm-hmm. And they are now they won't accept that.
Well, I've had my tribunal, and I've had 2 witnesses that the statements were almost verbatim. It was a closed deal. I mean, people were crying. Even my employer's advocates were not. They're not putting any more submissions in. As far as they were concerned, it was done.
What do you mean done?
Now I have to go and see an 11th psychologist. What for?
Yeah, well, what for? What's the reason?
What for? The best I can guess is so that I quit, walk out, to make it as hard, as difficult as it is possible. If I walked in there with a broken leg, I would not have to wait this long. This is a mental health injury.
I mean, you say there's been 12 suicides this year by first responders
That's been reported.
who have PTSD and who can't get treatment mm-hmm. from the provincial government.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost defies logic. Why do they? I mean, I mean, I don't know much about this, but it's obvious that if people are first responders, and with what we know about PTSD, people are going to get it because that's what human beings are.
Yeah, and I can assure you that the citizens of BC are getting the very best treatment from every first responder that attends to them. And we are not getting, when we're sick, we're not getting help. So on June 5th, a few members of my little group, which is now vastly grown, we met with Minister Bond, and she is aware. She heard our stories, and at that time there was 10 suicides, and we all said we will hold the government culpable if there's any more. And not even 2 weeks later, there was 2 more suicides.
When did you meet with her?
June 5th.
Okay, and has anything happened? That's June, July, August, September, October, November?
No, and she made no contact with us since, and she said she'd be contacting the Minister of Health to see if he can fill in some gaps, and she would look into this matter. She takes it very seriously.
Was she sympathetic?
That was her, and she was quite surprised to know that BC is not progressive. We were not the one to break the legislation or groundbreaking legislation. Alberta has a presumptive clause. Manitoba has a presumptive clause. Ontario, New Brunswick are on their second reading.
Okay, so what's a presumptive clause?
It is presumed that in our jobs, we are likely to get a mental health injury. And it doesn't have to fall under PTSD. It can fall under major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder. There's a number of things.
Okay, so then if you have the presumptive clause, then it's presumed that you can get a mental problem, and
then it's no longer on our shoulders to prove it.
It's just assumed.
It's assumed.
And then you get treatment.
And then you get treatment, and you get better.
And the treatment works.
And it works.
But here in BC, Christy Clark will not do it.
However, we've got good news.
And we don't even know about it. I mean, if I didn't happen to know somebody who knows you, I would never have heard this story.
Yeah, there are a number of people now starting petitions all across BC because in the UBCM in September, I took the legislation that we wrote and put it in the form of a resolution, or the legal legislation put in form of the resolution. And it was great news because there was 1,800 officials from municipalities all across this province that read, and it was presented by Jeremy Niloday from Victoria Council, Susan Lowe from Esquimalt Council, and Carl Jensen from Central Saanich, and they did a fantastic job. They phoned me and they said, Lisa, you won't believe it. Unanimously, across the board, every municipality wants a presumptive clause for their first responders. So that now has to go, it's now in the government's hands to write a bill.
When was the UBCM?
September 24th to 26th.
Okay, so that's October, no, that's 2 months ago.
So they have till February to write a bill. And that's every elected official from a municipal level saying to the government, we want this.
Yeah. Is the government going to do it? I mean, why?
I
What's
don't
the
know how they
holdup?
can't.
What's the why doesn't the public know about this? Why?
Well,
why
we're
wasn't
trying
this
to
done
get it out
years
there.
ago?
We are trying to get it out there, and you know, it's you know, getting it on the media, and then there's always something like, you know, bigger story.
Oh.
But I just wanted to say that one of the family members of a lost soul has donated money to a store, Ocean Promotion, who is giving these to some of our volunteers at cost. And so it has, on the front of it, it says, we have your backs.
You'll have to move it over a little bit. Yeah.
We have, I can't get it straight, Jack. We have your backs. Do you have ours? And those are the symbol of all of the first responders.
Okay.
And then on the backs, it says, you are not alone, PTSD, and our website. And when we're out doing anything, we're stopped in the street. And
you know,
I
it's just
can't
absurd that
donor.
you have to be selling T-shirts to win this cause. It is
Yeah.
just a bizarre situation. Lisa, we're out of time. Thank you very much for your many years of work.
Thank you.
And for working on this as well. Thank you for watching this week's Citizens Forum.